How to get the max benefits for your Social Security. All right, so my man Chris, we'll call him Chris Christoph. Is that his name? Chris, what the hell's that guy's name? Chris Christoph? I forgot. That guy sucked though. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Some singer from like the 70s. If we could go back to New York City. People like that song. So he writes in, he goes, Josh, I'm going to take Social Security at 62, and I'm only going to get $2,200 a month. But said the max benefit at 62 is, I think he said $2,700 a month. He goes, how come I'm not getting the max benefit? Good question. And I said, did you get 35 years of max benefit, of max earnings? Did you get 35 years of max earnings? It's a good question, my man Chris. Chris Christoph. What the hell is that, Christopherson or something like that? Anyway, yeah, right, Chris Christopherson. Anyway, so I said, well, you have to have 35 years of the max earnings in order to get the max benefit from Social Security. He goes, well, I got way more than 35 years of Social Security earnings. Doesn't matter, brother man. Doesn't matter, because they only take the top 35 years of your record in Social Security. So you might have 80 years of Social Security earnings. That means you pay taxes for Social Security for 45 of those years. Yeah, 45 of those years. Don't do anything on your Social Security benefit. Doesn't do anything. The only thing Social Security looks at is if you have 35 years of earnings. That's it. And if you have over 35 years, they take the highest of those 35 years, and that's what your Social Security benefit is based on. I'm in a truck stop, place here in North Carolina. I'm going up to Virginia to see my mama, and then some old friends from high school, and they go see them too for a day or two. So it's freaking hot tamales. Thank you, global warming. Thank you, El Nino. It's all the ICEs, like internal combustion engines. Everyone says the ICEs are causing global warming. I'm like, do people actually listen to themselves when they hear that? Do you not know the medieval warm period and these various things? We've had plenty of instances of global warming well before the Industrial Revolution. The same people are griping about global warming and say, well, we got to stop fossil fuels. And I always say, when's the last time you got an airplane? Well, that's not realistic. Well, you just said we got to stop fossil fuels. So the first thing you do is get off the airplane. Don't stop taking a cruise, you freaking fools. I get so sick of these green hypocrites, man. Like, oh, we got to stop fossil fuels. They're killing us with global warming. Oh, puppy dog. As they get on a freaking airplane to fly to Miami to get on a cruise ship to go take a cruise to freaking Turks and Caicos or whatever that place is called. Anyway, so going back to my man Chris Christopherson. So I said, dude, you get 35 years. All right, so if you had 50 years, it doesn't matter. The 15 years that aren't your top 35 are completely eliminated. It doesn't matter how many years you have. It only matters if you have 35. If those 35 years that you had were not the max benefit for that specific year. So right now, I think the max benefit is 160. Max earnings is 160. So anything over, I made more than 160 last year. So I only paid 6.2%. Well, for me, because I'm self-employed, 12.4% on my first 160. After that, I didn't pay anything for Social Security tax because Social Security is only taxed on the first 160. All right. So if you made $500 billion like Elon Musk, they only tax you on your first 160. All right. But if you only made 80 in 2023, you did not make the max earnings. All right. So if my man Chris, there's probably a good chance when he was, working as a young whippersnapper, digging ditches for Uncle Sam, he did not make the max earnings. All right. So I did not make the max earnings when I was a private E1 Joe Snuffy in 11 Bravo infantry platoon. I did not. I made $8,000 in 1989. That's not the max earnings. All right. So now I am making the max earnings now, but I've only made the max earnings going for the last 12 years or so. All right, so that means I have 23 years of not even coming close to make the max earnings. Not even coming close. I have a sneaky suspicion Chris hasn't made the max earnings. So I will never have the max Social Security because I did not make the max earnings for 35 years. And I should say never. I don't know exactly. I haven't run the numbers. But if you don't make the max earnings year over year over year, you're not going to have the max benefit. You have to have the max earnings for 35 years. I can't stress this enough. So let's say Chris is 60. Well, he's going to be 62. So that means he's what? 35 years ago, it's 27 or something like that? Yeah, I think so, right? Yeah, 27. So when he was starting out, 27 years old, and we'll just say the max earnings in that year time was, $45,000. I'm just using that for example. Did Chris make $45,000 27 years ago? If he said no, then he doesn't have the max earnings. It just does not. If he made $60,000 in 2012 and the max earnings were $85,000, he does not have the max earnings. He just does not. You have to have the max earnings. And again, the max earnings for 2024 is like 160. The max earnings a couple years ago is 140. The max earnings, 10 years ago is probably 90 or something like that. I don't know what it is. You'd have to look it up. Did you have that number for the max earnings in each of those 35 years? If the answer is no, you will not get the max Social Security benefit. Most likely. Again, I haven't run all of your numbers. Most likely you won't because you didn't make the max earnings. Even if you worked well more than 35 years. Again, you only take the top 35 years. All right, love your thoughts. Hope that answers anything. I'm sure it's clear as mud, but it's very opaque. Opaque, right? Isn't that the word I'm looking for? It's a new fancy word. That means it's not very clear, right? Doesn't opaque means it's not clear? I think so. It means it's kind of cloudy. So if it comes from your old buddy Josh, it's very opaque. All right, God bless.